Always does this. Always does this. Oh, so what? 5 minutes just talking to myself. Did someone say something in the chat? Yeah, they did. Thank you, Pon. Oh my Lord. Yeah, I was just sitting here having a conversation with myself. And anyway, so I guess to say I'm embarrassed right now would be an understatement. I guess so anyway, so to kind of recap all the stuff my computer. So here's the thing. I don't know what the settings are on this computer as far as like when it goes to sleep, because up and through yesterday night, it had been on. The monitors were on since the last time I did a show, probably Drunken Pop with Timmy last week. And today I come in here and it was off. And I fired everything back up. And for whatever reason, when this thing shuts down, it doesn't pick the right microphone ever. My headsets are probably wrong, but I don't have anything to hear, so I don't notice. So yeah, I'm just sitting here talking to myself. Thank you, Pondwater, for saving me as the demo continues to play. Yeah, I don't. What is happening? There we go. So anyway, so the recap I was giving before I was told that I wasn't saying anything. I should post that as a short, just me talking to myself. But so the whole idea of the show when I first started doing it was I wanted to talk to someone like an Eric Bischoff or someone in the office for WCW about these video games like this one. Now, granted, Eric was not a part of the company proper. Let me rephrase that. He wasn't a part of the corporate structure in WCW here in 92. He was there, but he was an announcer. But like Revenge and Nitro and Thunder and World Tour, WCW versus the World, which is the second worst game we've played on the show. And like, was he involved in those? Did he know anything about them? Like what business, how did it affect business? Like I've always wanted to know all those things. And I actually have a live show written up. Hopefully I'll get to use it one day for that show idea. And also, if you watch this show, you know that last week we tried to play WWF Royal Rumble for Dreamcast, and I don't think we made it 45 minutes. That is the worst. That beat WCW versus the World for the worst game ever. Not only was it bad, but WCW versus the World, we actually finished the 3 weeks. Royal Rumble made 45 minutes. It is terrible. So now we're going to get ready. This is actually going to be week 2 of this game. Thursday night, we will be going to, I'm headed out for Squared Circle Expo in Indianapolis. For Square Circle Expo on Friday morning, I'll be down there working the tables with Timmy C. Now, we don't have our own table. I should probably clarify that. We are volunteers for other people. Myself, Timmy C., Amy, fund director Justin Yen, and independently wealthy Blaine will all be there. Just, meandering around the hall. I'm looking forward to it. Well, because of that, obviously we can't do Bash on the Buttons on Friday because I will be there. So what we're going to, Thursday night will be Bash on the Buttons, week 3 of SuperBrawl. And then are you guys ready for this? The week after, WCW NWO Revenge. will be coming up for N64. I got a new copy of the game, and I also have the study guide. The strategy guide just showed up today. So looking forward to that. How do I get out of this? What is the back button for Super Nintendo? Okay, well, it's not X. It's not select. It's not Y. So just any button just moves you on to the next one. It's not B, and it's not A. What the hell? By the way, if this is your first time watching this show, we don't use an emulator here. This is my real Super Nintendo, so things like this happens. Matthew Elvis Presley finally showed up. What is going on, good sir? Continuing week 2 of WCW SuperBrawl for Super Nintendo. And again, this game gets such a bad rap. If you read like online wrestling, vintage wrestling game discussions or forums or whatever the case is, this game takes a beating. And I don't really understand why. For coming out in 1992, and let's keep this in mind too. WCW not exactly killing it in 92. They have a great roster. But as far as Eric Bischoff talked about this on his show, they're losing money every time they head out the door. Their management decisions. Let's see, in 92, I believe this would have been Bill Watts. And we all know how that ended. And they had people leave. Not too much longer after this, I think. Actually, now that I think about it last week, I think we might have said that if the Steiner brothers weren't gone when this game came out, they were close. But I think they might have been gone when this game was released. And yeah, because I remember saying not only were they gone, they were gone for a while when this game came out. So, and I mean, it's not weird when we played WWF Warzone. Same thing happened with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and British Bulldog and Ahmed Johnson were all in the game, but technically only Shawn was with the company, but he was retired. I mean, it happens, especially back then. Hell, Guy Evans was talking about with WCW NWO Revenge on his Twitter feed that when this game came out, they had to give Stevie Ray a secondary attire for his New World Order get up because he joined the NWO the week before the game came out. And you know what? Good on him for doing that, because most companies, when you've done that, nowadays they would just release a DLC package, 3 months later. I hate DLC in the worst way. How do you... Excuse me. Is it... Oh, did I miss one? Katie 45VYMX1. What? KD 45VYMX1. Did I miss a letter? Because that would suck. Not any worse than me doing the show by myself for 5 minutes with no sound because I'm a dumbass. Oh, what happened? Somehow I got to go back. How did I do that? Excuse me. I mean, just look at the wrestlers on this game. Dustin Rhodes, Vader, Rick Rude, Ric Flair, Johnny B. Bad, Rick Steiner, Sting, Brian Pillman, Barry Windham, Ricky Steamboat, Ron Simmons, Scott Steiner. That's solid. And there's a lot of guys in that company that probably should have been in this game that wasn't, like Arn Anderson. So I think last week we were Dustin Rhodes. So who should we be this week? Let's be... Is the Rude Awakening on this game? Where did I put the instruction booklet? If the Rude Awakening is on this game, we're being Rick Rude right now. I'm just telling you that now. Moves and maneuvers, page 12, according to the WCW SuperBrawl booklet. Password. Oh, there's a password. What does it say for password? And the period will be by pressing, when you get to the number, consonant, or period of your choice, press select next. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you choose up to 10 characters, but my password was 9. Actually, the example they give is 9. Oh. So this is, it took my password. Okay, this is not confusing at all. So it took my password. So now you have to choose one player or two. We picked one because I'm by myself. I ask you from the following single event, tournament, or ultimate challenge. We did tournament. Place the arrow in front of your choice by using the direction pad. We know that. Oh, well, that's as far as it goes. Okay, so, I didn't look. Falling apart. Moves and maneuvers, page 12. So, Rick Rude, Rude Awakening up. See, that's it. We're going to be Rick Rude. Okay. Decision made. Wait, were we playing tournament or were we playing Ultimate Challenge? I don't remember. Oh, it's 3 falls. I forgot. I do remember that. Who is that? Who is that in the picture? So, how are you guys doing? I have gotten into a new obsession. So, if you guys, I used to have a show. We used to have a show on Mark Out Moments called, well, it wasn't Mark Out Moments. It was the old Filter Free Network from back in the day. And it was called, he's getting the shit beat out of me. It was called, what was it called? We haven't done it in a couple of years, but it was a true crime podcast. And me and the fun director, Justin Yent. And what was it called? No, it's going to bother me. Oh, you can't pause? There we go. I'm getting shit on in one of our group chats, and I don't know why. Probably because I was talking to myself. What was I doing? Oh, what was our old show? God. This is what Midnights does to your brain, people. It was called, where is it? Oh, here it is. Revolution of Evil. What a name. What a great name. And to say I'm interested in true crime would be an understatement. It's kind of all I watch now and read about and things like that. But it's not necessarily, hold on, drink. It's not necessarily the crime aspect of it that I'm interested in. It's the psychology, the human psychology of it all. And because of that, as I'm getting older, things that kind of address human psychology are in the interesting ways they manifest itself has kind of also eked into my interest. So like cults have eked in. Cults are real big with me right now, only because once I'm running out of serial killers to learn about, right? And but cults, and I've watched quite a bit of documentaries on cults too, but so anything that has to do with human psychology and really dives into the why and the coping mechanisms of the human brain and all that really fascinates me. So one of my favorite shows, probably for more than one reason, is Hoarders, because again, everyone has this assumption that hoarding is the cause and not the effect. Very few people hoard because they're lazy. They exist, don't get me wrong, but it's usually not the case. Usually it's, we just whipped out the Rude Awakening right in the middle of the match. again, lazy hoarders do exist. I mean, it's a thing, but most of the time they are, oh, it's got hit with a running bulldog. They are protecting themselves in their mind from trauma or, a catastrophic event in their life, or an emotion they can't process. So that's what fills in. And it's, in a way, they're using things, we got hit with another running bulldog, to shield themselves off from the world. It's a protection thing. But also, people can leave me, people can screw me over, things can't. You know what I mean? Things will always be there for me when I need them. And Netflix just posted a new season. I forgot how to pin. How do we pin? And I started watching it, and I will tell you, I just had this conversation with somebody at work in the last couple of days. What I don't like about the very early on incarnation of hoarders is, well, for one, they tried to shove two people into one episode, which is impossible. You don't get to know anyone doing it that way. And like everyone they did you would do the recap at the end of the show, and they'd be like, he's back to hoarding smelly cheese. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they would just go right back to the behavior. And I think a part of that is in season 1, they were just like, let's diagnose it. We're not going to focus so much on the cleaning part of it. We're just kind of go through their shit from a top glance. We're going to diagnose it, and we're going to give you aftercare, and then we're going to move on. So when you try to shove a camera in someone's face and then try to address it and mash into a half, and I understand they're there longer than a half an hour, but I'm saying you're doing content. You're building the structure intentionally in a way to facilitate in a half hour. I mean, that's what you're doing. So you're not going as in depth with most things as they do now. So that was my biggest complaint with hoarders coming out of the gate. But with 1 hour, it got much better. And then usually the series or the season premiere and the season finale, you would get the worst of the season. You'd get a 2-part episode. Well, now with this new season they just released, I think it was from 2022. Every episode, every person is 2 episodes. So we're really getting to dive into, how did we get here? What trauma did we experience to get us to this event? And I love it. I'm so into it, man. It's truly fascinating. Like, I'm up 2-0, and it's best of 3. Oh, never mind. You have to get 3 falls. And it's tickling all my fancies right now. And I will say what's nice about this season they're doing right. Well, that's on Netflix from 22 is I think everyone I've watched so far, and I'm 4 or 5 people in now, everyone I've watched so far, with the exception of one, has maintained and gone to aftercare, which, again, in previous seasons I've watched was never the case. Very rarely did they do either, let alone both. So there's one guy, and for crying out loud, the guy was like 92. So, or 80s. No, he's 87. That's how old he was. So, yeah, he's not probably going to do well. But, really, at 87 years old, like, and I hate to say it this way, the guy he had a beautiful house in St. Louis. And he was a tremendous artist. That's what he did for a living, was art, painted and drew. And like he painted like over 3,000 paintings, and they were all in his house. Like, was there gross stuff in there too? Yeah. But like for normal episodes of Hoarders, it was pretty tame. His kitchen was disgusting. That I will give you. He had a rice cooker, and they thought there was rice in it, but it was actually maggots. Yuck. So outside of that, like, he's 87. again, and his life story was terrible. Like it wow. And he's happy. He's not hurting anyone. He's not hurting himself. He can still get around in the house fairly well. Just let him go. You know what I mean? But regardless, like he's the only one that kind of fell back into his pattern. The rest of them have all maintained. And well, there's one I'm getting ready. I'm watching right now, and I just finished episode 1. And it's interesting because the husband, Canadian couple, the husband is the one that called the show, I'm guessing, and called for help. And the wife is just being completely ridiculous the entire show. At least in season 1 or episode 1, she was. So we'll watch episode 2 tonight and see how that goes. Matthew Elvis Presley says, I come home from work and my pit bull ate my Switch controller. Brother, I got one for you. Not that I'm trying to one up you, but since we're doing this right now, when I was a kid, I'm talking 6, 7 years old, so 91, 92, I had the WWF toy ring with a bevy of action figures, and I had the belts. And remember those rings back? That ring back in the day had the belt pedestal on the side. You could put the belts on. And my dog ate all of it. Ruined all of my action figures. I think 2. Ruined the ring. Like chewed it to the point the ropes didn't stay up anymore. Dustin Rhodes is just kicking the shit out of me right now. And I don't know if I ever saw the belts ever again. What is happening? You know, last week I compliment Dustin Rhodes and Goldust for being the first dip into the water for attitude in WWF, and now he's just beating the shit out of me. My one complaint of this game so far is the computer can just kind of spam form you in the face. And unless you physically move, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. That's my one complaint, and that's not even that bad. So yeah, we had a really good discussion last week about Goldust, and again, in my opinion, was the WWF's first kind of test the waters for this attitude thing, trying something new. I thought it worked out well. Obviously, I would say Goldust in just the 4 or 5 years he was Goldust is a Hall of Fame. Shit, 95 through 98 Goldust is a Hall of Famer. 98, 99, and his later stuff too. But 98, 99. When he just went off the deep end, not so much. Boom. Take that. He ate the whole oh yeah. My dog was a dick. So old Sergeant died at 21. German Shepherd Husky mix. Oh, I should probably put the chat up so everyone can see it. There we go. Also, we had a good discussion of there's this new, how do I want to phrase this? This new thought process, and there's no way it's people from my generation doing this, that Triple H just didn't matter in the Attitude Era, like his kind of importance. You can pan outside, what the hell, his importance to the era is overstated. He didn't matter, which is batshit crazy. Like, I don't understand people who say that Triple H was an inconsequential figure in the Attitude Era. Didn't watch the Attitude Era. Like, listen, I didn't like DX. I thought it was, even at my, as a teenager, and that's who it was aimed for, I hated it because I didn't, that's not the kind of kid, and I grew up to start telling people suck it and all that other stuff. But in the moment, like, that's not how I was still a traditional babyface and heel guy, and I just thought they were going too far. But to sit here and pretend that Triple H didn't matter in the Attitude Era, again, for the 40th time, is bananas. I don't understand that. He is one of the most important parts of the Attitude Era. I mean, if you were going to make a list of these were the key figures in the Attitude Era in the WWF in the late 90s, there's no way he's not in the top 5. If you're honestly, what I think it is Triple H may not be booking things the way they like. And I think people have seen, he's kind of been campaigning with the Trump campaign, running around with them. Now, listen, I don't necessarily like that either. For no other reason than I thought it was stupid when, SmackDown went to the RNC in like 2000, whatever it was. Like, I watch wrestling to get away from that shit. You know what I mean? I don't need to be reminded of it all the time. That's the only reason why I didn't like it. Oh, no, I give a shit. It's your company. Do whatever you want. And I think because of those two things, now they're just trying to shit on Triple H. But again, to try to take away his importance, the Attitude is just dumb. Reign of Terror, 03 to 09, whenever it was, which I didn't watch then, so I honestly don't know. But if you wanted to critique that era, have at it. I've heard things. I've watched a few pay-per-views from that era. And honestly, is Triple H one of the best heels of the past 30 years? Yes. Is he good enough to warrant being a 15-time world champion? No. No, he's not. But again, to sit here and pretend like he just didn't matter is crazy. Thank you, Matthew, for reminding me. Dennis Condrey from the famed Midnight Express just passed away. Was that yesterday or Sunday? What is today? Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. Ric Flair's next. If it was 1990 and you were, so I was 5. This actually might not, this can actually be what I thought in 1990. I was watching. If it was 1990, you were asked what's the top 5 tag teams ever, your answer would be, well, here's the thing. I hadn't watched anything other than the WWF in 1990. So my top 5 tag teams would have been, in no specific order, because again, I don't know. 90 would have been Demolition. The Brainbusters. I did like the Brainbusters, even though they were gone by the end of 90. The 90 was at 89. I don't remember. I may have said that. The Rockers, the Heart Foundation. There's 3. Power and Glory. I don't know why I always like Power and Glory. I have no idea why. Darren just comes in and starts swearing. I don't know if that's necessary, sir. So that's 4. So we'll omit the Brainbusters because I can't remember. So Demolition, Heart Foundation, the Rockers, Power and Glory. I need one more. Maybe the Rougeaus, just out of like default. Now, if you were to ask me now who I think the best tag teams ever are, sadly, I don't think anyone from the last 20 years gets in. Just because tag team wrestling has just kind of fallen off a cliff. But I would say, okay, but you're coming in hot, but why? That's what I don't. If you got problems, brother, put them in the chat. We'll work through it. All-time Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. The Blonde Bombers, specifically Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens. What else? Does the Heart Foundation make the top 5 of all time? And here's why I don't have Arn and Tully on there. Because Arn and Tully were, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying. Arn and Tully is a fantastic tag team. They were a tag team for like not even 2 years, I don't think. Maybe just 2 years. So in the grand scheme of like, when you talk about the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnights and, the Heart Foundation even, they were a tag team for years. Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson. So there's 4. What would be number 5? Arn and Ole is greater than Arn and Tully. Unfortunately, I think that might be true. Maybe the Andersons with Arn and Ole might be number 5. Or Arn and, I'm sorry, not Arn, Ole and Lars, the Anderson brothers. I don't think it's talked about enough. and it's right on the fringe there. This is where I get interesting. So I would Arn and Tully would make my top 10, probably. If I just sat here and started writing down tag teams, and I got a list of every tag team ever, right? They might make the top 10. The Steiners didn't get mentioned. Legion of Doom didn't get mentioned. The Dudleys, Edge and Christian, Harlem Heat, the Hardys. Stop it. Al Snow and Steve Blackman, Head Cheese. That was stupid, but it's one of the funniest things ever. Like those Head Cheese skits were great. So, nice one, Darren. So Darren jumps in. Rock and Roll, Midnight Warriors, Bulldogs. That's 4. Are you doing Arn and Ole for number 5? Bulldogs, man, that's a good one. But you got all these on the fringe. I would even put the Outsiders in that fringe sort of group. But I mean, the top 5 to me, to be a top 5 tag team, you have to have tenure as a team. And Arn and Tully, I mean, they were tag team for a while, but again, compared to the other great teams, they weren't. And by the way, I've already got a fall on Flair. I do not like that if you go for a signature move and don't get it, it just goes away. I don't like that. Because apparently you can just move and also dodge a signature move. But yes, Dennis Condrey just passed away. And I know Jim Cornette is a lightning rod of opinion, and you either love him or you hate him. My opinion on Cornette, he's the second best manager of all time. He's behind only Bobby Heenan, and I think he would probably agree. I agree with most opinions he has on wrestling. I do not agree with sometimes how he says things. And I think part of that is generational. I'm not making excuses for it, but he does say some weird shit or things that, like, man, I wish you wouldn't have said it that way, sort of thing. Just inflammatory for the sake of being inflammatory kind of thing. And I've read most of Jim's books that he's done. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've got all of his action figures right here on my wall, they're all signed. I've got all of his books, most of his DVDs. Picture of him with the Midnight Express, and heavily buying these box sets. With the I like Cornette. I think that unfortunately, and I always hate to frame things like this, but I think the day that Cornette is gone, and he can no longer just inflame people with his opinions because everything's so polarized now. He will be remembered as one of the greatest managers and talkers ever. I would say universally. But when I go back and I read, his books on chronicling Memphis wrestling and Louisville wrestling, Dennis Condrey, before he was in the Midnight Express, was real over in Memphis and the Southeast area. So and that's before, and then Bobby Eaton the same way in Memphis and in the Southeastern. So they already had good to above, to very good careers before they got together with Jim. And then, I mean, the entire package of manager and team is possibly the greatest tag team package ever. Because again, Cornette, when managing back in the day, Cornette added, the same thing Bobby Heenan, but Bobby Heenan never really had an established team. You know what I mean? He had a lot of singles guys. He had Haku and Andre, the Colossal Connection. But as far as like, this is my tag, and the Brainbusters, that's really like the end of Bobby's tag teams. So, but Cornette, to make it as long as he did, and what I like about Cornette is outside of Yoko in 93 and 94, and Bulldog too, I guess, he managed tag teams. Well, even Yoko, he had Owen, right? But Midnight Express, Heavenly Bodies, always managing teams. And his teams, even the Heavenly Bodies, when they debuted in '93, it's they didn't debut at Survivor Series, they were in it. And they wrestled the Steiner brothers. It was Dr. Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey. And even though you look at this team, and I'm not familiar with them because they wrestle in Smoky Mountain, but because Cornette manages them and they're so good in the ring, I'm going to go ahead and just assume on my own this is a really good tag team. He has no energy. I hit him with the Rude Awakening. He just stands up. No selling my shit. So there's a very good chance that Midnight Express, I just swept Ric Flair, by the way. A whole package might be the greatest tag team ever. And there's so many teams we haven't even mentioned. The Russians, Jim Crockett, and the Steiners, Harlem Heat, the Outsiders. WCW was loaded, man. Jim Crockett and WCW. And what was upsetting was WCW, much like WWF did in the same time frame in the late 90s, they kind of got away from tag team wrestling. And if you actually go back, do not go back and watch WCW 2000 because most of it is the shits. Because they're working through this internal power struggle between Hogan, Bischoff, and Russo and whoever else, Kevin Sullivan. But if you go back and watch WCW from 01, so March to January to March to the end. And again, don't get me wrong, there's still some goofy shit on there. Sting and Vampiro in the Human Torch match, whatever the hell that was. I feel like I remember watching someone fight in a pond. Like there's still some dumb shit. But they were just starting to bring tag teams back. And they even brought back the WCW Cruiserweight tag team titles, which was majority, 3 Count and the Young Dragons. And then, they had Rude Awakening. It's over. First of all. You gotta. What's no selling some bitch. But you still had Palumbo and O'Hare. Was a great tag team. Chronic, Brian Clark and Brian Adams were, to me, very underrated as a tag team. They were very good. Vito and who was the other guy? Johnny the Bull. Yeah. So, I mean, they were starting to bring tag teams back. And I feel, wasn't Alex Wright and like the artist formerly known as Prince Iakea? Wasn't that they a team for a minute? But they were trying and tinkering and starting to bring tag team wrestling back. And then, of course, they closed, which is a whole nother fascinating subject and why you should buy Guy Evans' book Beyond Nitro, because all that's explained. So we were just starting to get tag teams back. They were starting to really emphasize the cruiserweight division again, which is what got them, in the mainstay to begin with. And I don't know about anyone else. I probably am the only one on this. I thought the WCW television title was incredibly underrated and underutilized. I mean, when I go through a belt and a list of champions that it essentially catapulted was Steven Regal, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Diamond Dallas Page. All those guys were former TV champions. And that's after, Arn Anderson and Steve Austin and, and all these guys. And I thought when they dropped it, I think Scott Hall had it, was the last one to win, and he threw it in the trash. And then Jim Duggan found it later. But to have all these guys on that were launched because of the TV title, shit, Johnny B. Bad is TV champion. And just to kind of abandon the belt and then bring it back, they just brought back the TV title and was starting to utilize it again. So WCW was starting, if they would have gotten the chance to find a new network, because they were going to have to do that, although part of the reason why the deal fell through was because television time was no longer included. But if they would have had more time and gotten to take a 2-month break and find a new network and kind of restructure the roster, with what they had been doing in 01, I think that WCW would have. I'm not going to make that bold, overarching statement that they would have been in business today. I don't know that. They had a lot of hurdles to get over to have any sort of longevity. But do I think they find their place and they make it for a few years? Yeah, I have no reason to not think that. They were headed in the right direction. It's just they had the rug pulled out from underneath them when the guy from WCW. Oh, what's that? What was that move that Johnny B. Bad did? The left hook. Was that Bad Day? Was that the name of it? I think it was. But when the executive from Turner Broadcasting pulled the rug out from under him and said no TV is not included, and then dropped the sell price to the WWF for like $2.5 million, whatever it was. Yeah, that was the end of WCW. So I'm going to tell you this one, like an underlying wish I've always had since WCW went under is I hope one day the copyright for WCW just expires and the WWF is just not paying attention, or WWE is not paying attention, and it expires and somebody buys it. I don't know why. Let's see what we got in the comments here. Top 5 finisher singles and tag. We'll come back to that. Oh, SOB Bubba's here. He said he attended prep school with Paul White. Did he have to sit in the classroom by himself because he was so big? If cousin Ted Turner had more of a TV presence, they might have lasted longer. Do you mean a presence, like I say, with the television company as a whole? Because you are right. Once AOL came in, I mean, Ted Turner was just there to be there. From a power perspective, we didn't have much. Okay, so top 5 finishers, singles, and tag. I'm going to leave that up so I don't forget, because I'm going to have to keep going back and forth as Johnny Bad's trying to mount a comeback on me. So I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do like the most visually appealing or anything like that. I'm going to do the most effective. Like I saw fewer people kick out of this than anyone else, because that, to me, that's what a good finisher is. Rude Awakening stands up, starts running. Lord. No selling my shit. No sells everywhere. I mean, pile driver, if I'll even be more specific, Darren. I will say Jerry Lawler's pile driver. I mean, did anyone ever kick out of that? And I heard Cornette say maybe somebody did in like 86, but outside of that, not too many people kicked out of it. No, not a lot of people kicked out of the Rude Awakening, but I feel like there are more visually appealing. Oh, DDT. How we have not mentioned the DDT already? Jake's DDT. If we're going to put the pile driver at number 1, actually, I'm going to do this. I'm putting the DDT at number 1. We'll do pile driver at 2. I just beat Johnny B. Bad second time. Let's do Stunner's a good one. Kevin Nash's jackknife, I think, does not. And while we're at it, the Razor's Edge was excellent. The amount of strength it took for Scott Hall to do that on anyone, let alone some of the guys he did it to, is nothing short of amazing. And I'm not going to group the DDT with the Stunner. I will group the Stunner with the Diamond Cutter. Because, man, in 97 on, that Diamond Cutter was over. Actually, it started in 96. He's starting to get pops with the Diamond Cutter. Which, by the way, I just started a new TEW9 save from 1996. So that save takes place the day after Bash of the Beach 96. And I'm about to do World War III is where I'm at now. And my goal is I am just mashing over Steven Regal, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, and DDP. And it's hard. Because, like Hogan, more or less, if the person Hogan is wrestling is not the same popularity or just under him, like 1 or 2. Now, mind you, out of 100, Hogan's at 94. Like, he's real popular, which is true. I mean, in 96, he still is that popular. But unless he's real close to you in popularity, he will not drop, he will not lose. So he has the belt because he wanted it Road Wild, and I gave him the belt back at Hog Wild. He beat the Giant. And I'm about to put the Giant in the NWO, heading into World War III. But yeah, he like that is a part of the game. Like, no, I'm not. So I could have, say, like the Booty Man is on that, and for reason, dumbest shit ever. And I didn't want to do that. And I could, and he's still in the mid 50s for his popularity, which again is probably pretty accurate, 96. And I could say, I want you to lose to Chris Jericho, who's, when I started this game save, all of his popularity was like in the 20s because he's just starting to make a name for himself in North America. And they would say no. So it's real hard. Anyway, I say all that too. So where are we at? We're at DDT, pile driver, stunner / diamond cutter, leg drop against Goofy, but no one ever kicked out of the leg drop until later. Actually, I don't even know the first person who kicked out of the leg drop was. Was it the Giant? In 95, whenever that would have been? What else? We got 4. Do we put the tombstone on there? Again, I might put the jackknife and the razor's edge together at number 5. Maybe even the Vader bomb. But I don't know. I love the Vader splash. I didn't really care for the Vader bomb. Just didn't. Sid's power bomb was okay. Darren, the tombstone is a reverse pile driver, sir. I'll have you know. Not taking notes. No, I'm playing a video game. Of course I'm not taking notes. What a nerd. Boston crab cream pie. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. Who did that? No, don't answer that. I love that they just walk out of the ring and start taunting. Oh, tag teams. Yes. Doomsday Device for sure. Decapitation. Power and Glory suplex into the flying body splash. Again, just visually it was fantastic. Midnight Express rocket launcher. That's 4. The heart attack. I think would have to be up there. So what was that? It was Doomsday Device, Decapitation, whatever Power and Glories was. I don't remember. I love that the computer just spams strikes on this game. It's fantastic. This computer for SuperBrawl started the way. And the win. Television champion. We were just talking about that. So wait, you do a tournament and the belt you win is the television title? Not the US? Rocker Dropper's good, although that paralyzed the dude. Or didn't it? Or at least momentarily. Oh, you know what? A tag team that didn't make the list, but because it wasn't around long enough, but it should have. Had it been around longer, it's absolutely a top 5 tag team ever. The Hollywood Blondes, Austin and Pillman. They were real good together. And then the great part about that story is they didn't want to be a team, like at all. And then they became a team. They became a great team. And then they got pulled apart. Who is Jesse H. Christmas? I love that Vader looks like Roadblock with like lightning bolts on his face. I never, ever, ever ever did Vader wear something like that. Ever. But yeah, here he is. Oh, Sting actually, I mean, he's kind of flame-ish pants. I like that. Who got yelled at yesterday? Jesse H. Christmas? We haven't defined who that is yet. Oh, I don't know if you guys made any New Year's resolutions or not, but I did. I wanted to get healthier. I'm going to be 41 next weekend. And I wanted to get healthier and lose some weight and quit smoking. And I have not smoked since January 9th. So we are 2.5 months into that. Actually hasn't been too bad. I thought the cravings would be worse than what I'm actually going through. But I started the year at 230 pounds. And actually, as we're recording this, I'm kind of glad that this picture of me is so small in the video because I'm sweating because I just got off the Peloton for an hour. And 230, and I weighed in today at 212. So we're down 18 pounds. Getting ready for hot body summer, you know. And really all I wanted was, I just didn't want to be the dad because my kids are starting to grow up now. That like, say my daughter's playing basketball or something or volleyball. And I didn't want to be the dad that like, I got winded walking up the bleachers. You know what I mean? So yeah, I did it for my kids. And I will say my endurance, I don't get winded going upstairs anymore, which is nice. And I just generally, I just feel better, which is good. Don't forget the Sudanese and meat cleaver by Abdul the Butcher. SOB Bubba, I don't, it's your first time here in the chat. By the way, welcome. I'm going to say this, and I don't want to upset you, but it's just, I've always thought it, and I will concede that again, I did not start watching WCW until like 95 and I did not know about Abdul the Butcher until long after he was retired because he never wrestled in the WWF. But I do know an above average amount about his career now. And I'm going to leave all potential controversies out of this. And I even understand how much money he drew because to his credit, much like Bruiser Brody, he refused to stay in one place for very long. I think Abdul the Butcher is one of the most overrated wrestlers ever. Again, maybe in his heyday, it was different. But again, from what I've seen, and again, it's later in his career, it's WCW stuff, but I don't get it. I don't get it. I just think he's overrated. See, you're a Mid-Atlantic guy. So, like, again, Abdul, I don't know if regularly is the right word, but he appeared semi-regularly in Mid-Atlantic. So, you would have saw way more of Abdul than I would. And again, I didn't start watching wrestling until 89. For the most part, Abdul's North American career is over. I mean, he had a brief stint in WCW, was in that god-awful Chamber of Horrors match. So Darren with a good point. He was not a wrestler, he's an attraction. I'll give you that. Great. Absolutely. And again, the man drew a lot of money. I'm not arguing that at all. I think, and he is a character that thrived in the territories, but would not survive today. Because I feel like Abdul is going to be one of those guys. Once you see him twice, you've seen everything. But he moved around a lot, and he was a monster in Japan. And yeah, an electrocution, Chamber of Horrors. I think we watched that once for our old show, Filter Free Podcast, and I vividly remember shitting on that match. It was so bad. It was so bad. What else we got in the chat? Let's pause it. There's a lot of stuff here. He was an attraction. Andre was before age caught up to Andre in a hurry. Andre could move very well. Like, he was actually a pretty good wrestler for his size. Right now you're wrestling a guy who got knocked out by a man wearing slippers and a bad arm. You forgot that man was also naked. But again, Vader as a character, for lack of a better phrase, I mean, to say he was over would be just a disservice. Like that. I almost said Andre. Vader was arguably one of the biggest heels in North American period from 90 to 96. And then he got knocked out by Paul Orndorff naked in flip-flops. And it was just never the same. And then his weight kind of got out of control. But again, in Japan, massive. I don't know if anyone's on the level of Terry Funk in Japan. Terry Funk was like kind of maybe Stan Hansen, in a category kind of all onto themselves in Japan as an American. But I would say that next level, well, Brody. So let's do Stan Hansen, Brody, and Terry Funk is like category 1. Category 2 is Vader, Bam Bam Bigelow, Steve Williams, Terry Gordy. And he was kind of getting a name out for himself in AWA before it completely went down the toilet. But the thing with Vader outside of Japan in the AWA, and he wasn't a national giant star when he showed up on the scene in WCW, but that dude was over from the word go. And they pushed him as a main event guy from day one. And he lived up to it. He goes on to have one of the greatest monster heel runs ever for 4 to 5 years in WCW. Like, he wasn't a one-trick pony. He could have different matches with people. And again, his character was good and his style was good enough that he could wrestle a guy like Cactus Jack and show off his brutality, because again, Cactus is also insane, and get himself and Cactus over as this insane tough guy, but then can go on to get Sting and Ric Flair over as well in a much different way. But he's giving me all I can handle right now in this match. Stan Hansen is the Ronnie Millsaps of wrestling. I have heard he was blind as a bat. I can't remember who said it. They did say that every time you wrestled Stan Hansen and you knew the clothesline was coming, you just close your eyes because you're going to get hit because he can't see you. So you just hope he hits you in the chest and not the face. Can you please stop going to the top rope? Vader did that 0 times in his career that I can remember. Cactus versus Sting is an underrated WCW feud. I've said this before. I thought Sting and Steven Regal from 95 could have been way better than what it was, but they have this feud. They have a blow-off match at pay-per-view. One match. And that was the end of it. And to me, I watched that feud, and to me, Regal, after that Sting feud, Regal was never the same. Like, he was at a certain spot, and that was as high as he was going to go. Foley had great matches with Sting and Shawn. Mick Foley had arguably the greatest world title defense match no one has ever watched, or no one talks about, I should say, against Shawn at Mind Games in Philadelphia. That match is incredible. And if you have not seen it, do yourself a favor. In Your House, Mind Games, Shawn Michaels Mankind is insane. Shawn was the pretty boy and needed to have an edge put to him so people could take him being champion seriously. And man, oh man, him and Mankind put on an orchestra, a symphony. It was incredible. Again, probably the best world title match no one talks about. The two I always go to is Shawn and Mankind, and then 1-2-3 Kid and Bret Hart from, I think it was July 6th, 94, when Bret was champion. Great match. And yeah, I mean, part of it, Matthew brings up a good point. Foley made the baby faces work like they never had, which is true. They didn't have to, but Mankind was such a drastically different performer, character, however you want to phrase it, than we had seen in the WWF. I mean, Stan Hansen maybe in the 70s when he broke Bruno's neck. You know what I mean? Like we hadn't seen someone like that. Completely different. And again, like 1997, 98 is kind of given the credit for the genesis of the Attitude Era in the WWFE. And I mean, for sure, that's when I took a national stage. That's when they enveloped the entire company in it. No doubt. But I would say Goldust debuting in 95 and then Mankind debuting in 96. And just really the company's first brawler, twisted character. The interview segments with Jim Ross was tremendous that we had ever seen. And I think that was at least starting the wave of the Attitude Era kind of taking center stage. I think the company was primed to go into the Attitude Era because of Mankind and Goldust and things of the like. So when Austin and DX took off, the crowd was already ready for it. Because they gotten a taste with those guys and were like, oh yeah, this is way better than the goofy shit you've been showing us. Vince Russo was sent over to sync WCW by Vince McMahon. I don't think anyone is that smart. I think Vince Russo is just that bad, and a very charming guy and can sell, ketchup to a lady and ketchup popsicles to a lady with white gloves. I don't think Vince sent him over there because if Vince Russo was truly that much of a creative genius, why would Vince ever let him go anywhere? Because let's say you have this grand plan. I'm going to send you over there and you're going to be so terrible. You're going to sink WCW. Well, for one, there's much easier ways to do it. But two, who's to say Russo gets the job, goes to WCW, is like, you know what? I'm going to use this opportunity to show how good I am. I'm going to beat WWF. And then he does. So no, I don't believe that. I just think he's that bad. I mean, he booked himself to be world champion. Like, I don't. Again, so did Vince McMahon. But again, the difference between Vince McMahon and Vince Russo was McMahon won the Royal Rumble surrounded by his corporate cronies, as it was like 11-on-1 against Austin. And he was, not to mention, jacked to the gills. And Russo, didn't he win a cage match he wasn't even technically in? And there's much easier ways to sink a company than send a mole in creative. It kind of doesn't make sense. Russo, I don't think that was Russo. Bischoff, I think, put the belt on. No, actually, Bischoff was in the match. Bischoff put the belt on Arquette. And again, even in that example, I put that one above Russo winning the title because as goofy as it is, having David Arquette win the world title, and I think Arquette would even tell you that, it made no sense. It was goofy. But at least in that instance, I can understand why they were doing it. They were selling their movie, Ready to Rumble. So I get it. I get it. I don't get Russo. There was nothing on the other side to promote or further, or it just did it. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he won it in a cage match he was not even technically booked in. You know what I mean? Because Goldberg speared him outside the cage. And because it was that stupid triple cage shit too. And because he was the first one out of the cage because his back hit first or whatever, getting speared, he won. and also got a concussion because his head hit the hand guard. It was goofy. Again, WCW 2000 was possibly the worst year of wrestling ever on television. But again, in very late 2001, they started to turn it around, and they just didn't get a chance to fully go through with it. I don't get it. You didn't see the WWF put the heavyweight title on Zeus just so no holds barred. That's true. But he did feud. And also, again, I didn't say I agreed with WCW putting the belt on Arquette. It was dumb. I'm just saying I understand why they did it. I get it. Would I have done it? No. Do I understand why they did it? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I bet you if they had it over to do over again, they would not have. You know what I mean? Scorpion Deathlock, but bam. That looks like shit. Did he tap? Oh, nice. Oh, no, he didn't. I thought he tapped. I mean, I didn't know people were tapping in 92. They weren't. Putting the belt on Arquette was the most disrespectful gimmick ever. It made the belt look like used roll of Sherman. I mean, again, I put it second to last behind Russo. To me, Russo's was worse. But again, in the grand scheme of things, I agree. It was terrible. But again, the only reason why I put Russo below Arquette is, again, with David Arquette, I didn't agree with it. I understood it. And let me rephrase. Back in 2000, I wasn't watching WCW 2000. I gave up. I quit. I was just watching WWF, but I heard about it. Right. But as an adult, I still haven't watched WCW 2000, but I've watched shows from there. I've watched that match or that Thunder. And again, it was on a Thunder. But that David Arquette winning the world title made the USA Today and promoted their movie coming out, Ready to Rumble. Did it piss off every wrestling fan? Well, most wrestling fans on the planet. I can't say all because you can't do blanket statements. Somebody liked it. But did they piss off most wrestling fans? Yep, they sure did. But I understand the mindset they had that led them to do that. Vince Russo winning the world title. What did that do? What was that selling? You know, again, Vince was in the corporation, and it was Vince and McMahon. It was Vince and Austin. Got it. And again, Vince ended up giving the title up like the next day or next week or whatever it was to The Rock. So again, get all that. I don't get Vince Russo. Don't get it. It didn't sell anything. It didn't further anything. It just was there. It just happened. Brian Pillman whooping that ass. I got to say, I do like this game using, I don't know what you would call that, but the color effect on Brian Pillman's knee pads and trunks, and mine also Sting's. It's pretty creative way to kind of get different colors and patterns on the wrestlers. I like it. I like it. That was actually hot. A running off the ropes into the sunset flip. I cannot stand how much I go to the top rope. What else we got? What other wrestling conversations from WCW should we talk about? See, last week we talked about Pillman and the loose cannon gimmick. Pretty good talk. I like that one. Talked about Goldust last week. Sting sucks. Way to bring up a new topic, Darren. I'm going to say no to that thought. Sting sucks. Like, what are you? What else is on your guys' mind? Sting sucks. Okay. That's weird. What else do we got in the chat here? What can we talk about? We kind of gone over everything. Guys, we need new topics other than Sting sucks. Oh, you know what? Back to Foley for a minute. Not only did he get over Shawn Michaels as the world champion, let us not forget who was the first challenger to Austin's world title when he beat Shawn Michaels. Dude Love. Corporate Dude Love. You need a guy to get over and have some credibility, you throw in Mick Foley. I don't know what that was, but I enjoyed it. Can I do something? Oh, my Lord. I tried to roll out of the way, and he still pinned me. What? Top rope. Oh, my Lord. All right, now the spamming of the forearms is starting to get old. All right, there we go. Got some offense in. Top five WCW feuds. That's a good one. I will go. I mean, Sting Flair's number one, and I don't even think it's that close. Sting Vader. Maybe, you know what the sad part is, and I'm gonna let me preface this fully. I am not diminished. Hulk Hogan did absolute wonders. Oh my Jesus! From a business perspective, money, merchandise, all that stuff, did wonders for WCW when he came in 94 or 95. Set all kinds of pay-per-view records, all that stuff. I don't think I can put Hogan in a top 5 WCW feud. Like who? And here's the reason why. I mean, Savage, they wrestled at Halloween Havoc, 96. By SuperBrawl, Savage is in the NWO. He feuds with Roddy Piper. Piper beats him 3 times, none of which are for the title. And because I will go as far as to say, I think the Hogan Piper World Championship thing wore on the fans so much that this was the beginning of the NWO starting to lose steam. Yes, I think Roddy Piper should have won the world title from Hogan and SuperBrawl. I do. Especially with the way they did it. That match, that finish is awful. So yeah, I don't think I can put Hogan in one. And I'm not going to just say NWO versus WCW. That's stupid. That's lazy. So I'm going to do Sting Flair, Sting Vader, Steamboat Austin. Forgot about that one. That was a great one. Number 4. I hated entertaining matches, but I hated the feud of Benoit and Sullivan. That's some really good, really entertaining matches, though. Matthew Elvis Presley has a good one. Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Cruiserweight division, Eddie, Ray, Dean, and who's the 4th one? Wow, my mind just shut off. Ray, Eddie, Dean, and anyone else. Psychosis, Ultimo Dragon, whoever you want to put in there. Jericho. I would put all of them together in a feud because the matches were just off the chain. Shit. DDP Savage. Hello. 4. That's a close second to me behind Flair and Sting. That's how much I hold that feud in regard. What would be the 5th? I don't know what the hell that was. What would be number 5? With the forearms. Just poke me in the eye. Because the Outsiders never had a great tag team feud. They just beat a bunch of tag teams. Number 5 is tough. Darren tells he has an eye infection. I don't know why that matters. I mean, that sucks. But you should quit scratching your butt and then scratching your eye. That's how that happens. So what we got so far? We got Flair, Sting, Vader. Okay, I got it. We had DDP Savage, the Cruiserweight division, specifically Eddie Ray and Dean. He just beat me. And then Cactus Jack Vader. Right? I mean, that's got to be the top 5. And again, unfortunately, after Jim Crockett Promotions ceased to be a thing, I don't remember a great tag team feud in WCW. There was great tag teams. I think the Enforcers with Arn and Larry Zbyszko is incredibly underrated. Pink Eye from the Glory Holes, that's disgusting. I mean, the Harlem Heat and the Steiners never really had a prolonged feud. Jesus, with the forearms, a prolonged feud. Other than they were just in a bunch of tag team matches. I to this day I cannot believe Scott turned heel and joined the NWO, and they did not have a prolonged Scott and Rick feud. What? I think Raven, DDP, Benoit could probably be it. Booker T, Benoit, best of 7 was fantastic. But yeah, I don't. But the thing with those two is, you bring up those two. Who are you taking out of the top 5? It ain't gonna be Flair Sting. I can tell you that right now. It ain't gonna be Sting Vader. It's not gonna be Cactus Vader. It's not gonna be DDP Savage. So I mean, maybe it might by default might have to be Eddie, Dean, and Ray, but I don't want to do that either. Brian Pillman is beating the shit out of me, by the way. Spending more time talking to you buttholes and thinking than beating Brian Pillman. Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom. Are you shitting me? That was terrible. I think Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom is what necessitated Hulk Hogan turning heel, because they made the Dungeon of Doom with Kamala and the Zodiac and whatever other the Shark, and the fans go, "Oh, good, we're going to do this again," and just booed. I mean, they hated it, as they should. It's trash. So I would say offhandedly, the Dungeon of Doom caused the NWO. There's a hot take. And what's fun is there's actually 2 members of the Dungeon of Doom that would join the NWO. Big Bubba Rogers and Conan. Pillman Sullivan was on the way to something, but then Pillman did loose cannon and faded away from WCW, I should say. With the forearms already. What is this, the Royal Rumble? Lord. Okay, hit the signature, and you just didn't do it, so that's fun. Sarcasm 86, Night of the Shit Talkers. That should be a t-shirt, Darren. Go ahead and make that up. I'll buy it and we'll wear it. Here we go with the taunting. I'm about to beat you. Can you come back in the ring, please? Brian Pillman's being a real dick. What? Oh, my God. Oh, my Lord. Tap rope. Sure, why not? I'm not even near there. This probably will be our last match. Well, this will be our last match of the night. I have to go get in the shower and get ready for another round of midnights tonight. If I ever beat Brian Pillman, if he can keep his feet on the canvas, oh boy. Okay, we get it. With the spamming of the forearms. I can't even do anything. He's Sting's just like, no, I don't want to move my hands. Can you do something, bro? This is nuts. And I didn't write the code down or the password either. That should be a good time. If I just get angry and quit. There we go. Nice airplane spin. Punch to the face. Top rope. Go ahead and jump. Tool bag. And make our comeback. Here we come. Hulking up. Stinging up. Blade Runner Sting. It's a random thing to say in the chat. What is this? I feel like this match has been going on for a while and there's no like clock. Oh. Brian Pillman is giving me all I can. He's already up 1-0. You know, I can be smart and just go back and watch this tape and rewind it and write the password down. Look at me being smart. Surprise myself sometimes. We should do a worse feuds because I think number one with a bullet is Hogan Warrior. What a pile of shit that was. Like, even the thought of like, we need to do new business. So I was bringing the Ultimate Warrior in 1998. It's like, what? Why? I think I've heard that they were in talks also with Yokozuna around that time. It's like, dude, you should have done Yokozuna way before you did Warrior. At least Rodney, everyone likes the Yokozuna. Very few people like the Warrior. Ugh. I'm trying to do the Scorpion Deathlock for some time. He just won't do it. Oh, now he tries to do it when Pillman's down, and I can't. What a dick. Actually, I wore that T-shirt yesterday, Matthew Elvis Presley, that Mabel was the third man. Mabel and the British Bulldog, which will never not be funny to me. This guy. You're making this take way too long, Brian. I wonder if I win this fall and just pause it, if this will stay not frozen until Thursday. Be a good test of this old Super Nintendo's durability. I also love the fact he's doing a count out, but you can pin outside the ring. What? Oh my lord! Like, I can't get Pillman's health down because he will not stay in the ring, and when he is in the ring, he goes to the top rope. And now Sting's shitting his pants. I don't know what he's doing. And I love that every time I do the signature, he just doesn't hit it, and it goes away. It's excellent. Oh my goodness. I always forget to center myself in the vertical screen. Sorry. Just looking at my ear in the chat. I wish they would let you move it, like to the corner away from the chat. Will you stop punching me? Yeah, take that, sir. He's got just a shitload of signatures waiting to just light me on fire in the middle of the ring. All right, now the spamming of the punches and kicks was funny at first, and it's getting real old real quick. Because he's either outside the ring, standing on the top rope, or forearming me in the face. There's no in between. I got my NWA television title from Big Time. I'm gonna guess that's belts. I have the Georgia Championship TV title signed by Ron Garvin. There is some belts that I would like to get. I mean, it's a replica. I should say that also. There are some belts I'd like to have. I think pretty much every generation of the TV title, I want it. I want the old version. I want the Arn, and I want what they call the squiggly line TV title. I want all of them. Again, I think the TV title was underrated and undervalued, considering the careers it kind of launched in WCW. Now the problem with WCW was you can launch guys like Regal and Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit and not DDP, he actually did break through, but Six and all these guys, Raven, Saturn, Booker T. Well, Booker T broke through too, but once they only get to a certain point, because the main event is just, there's no getting in it. It's so crowded. Yeah, I don't know. It did diminish the belt because they never really went any further. Like Alex Wright was a TV champion. This is Prince Iaukea was, and that was awful. Again, I did like he hits the forearm to go for the Scorpion Deathlock and then just doesn't do it. He just stands there. Nope, of course I didn't hit it, so the signature went away again. That's nice. My lord. Oh wait, I'm Sting. I was like, he's just kicking a shit. I mean, no, it's me. I have my big gold signed by Jeff Jarrett and David Crockett, and then I got my NWA 10 pounds of gold signed by Trevor Murdoch. So I have the 10 pounds of gold signed by Tony Schiavone, David Crockett, Matt Cardona, Christian, and Engel, I think. I'd have to look. Maybe Jarrett. I might have got Jarrett a couple years ago. Hey, we want to fall. And with that, we're going to pause this and see if we can come back and just take off where we left on Thursday. Again, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, right back here. Bash on the Buttons, episode 3 of what happened? A pop-up just came up. Oh boy. Episode 3 of Bash on the Buttons, WCW SuperBrawl next week here on Markout Moments on YouTube. Great conversation. Join us Thursday night for more of the same. Again, I'm your host, TJ Stevens. Until next time, have a safe week, everybody.